Okay, hello to the people that are showing up. Appreciate you guys being here. A little bit lower energy today, but I'll try to keep it like moderately entertaining. Okay, so this game we are Lion. We've got Darkseer, Lone Druid, Morphling, and Skywrath. So it's Lion, Skywrath supports, Morphling safe lane, Lone Druid, assuming he's mid, and Darkseer off lane. I'm assuming it's something like that. It's pretty interesting. Um, hey, encrypted Sins, how's it going, man? You're playing against Clinks, Drow, and Sniper. So basically, all three of these heroes do the same thing, except for Clinks like applies more pressure than Drow and Lion, or Drow and Sniper. And then they have Underlord and Ogre Magi. Their composition is actually really bad, but it's good if you let them get ahead early. All you need to do in this game, you should identify like, hey, if me and Skywrath run up to somebody and press all of our buttons, like either the Sniper or the Drow, they're probably gonna die. So that should be our plan in this game. Try to avoid the Ogre and the Pit Lord. They're like the strongest heroes early on. The rest of the heroes are extremely weak. So your goal should be to like gank the Drow and the Clinks and the Sniper as much as possible. Like just whoever is vulnerable. Particularly, I would say ganking top might be easiest. So I'm assuming it's Sniper going safe lane. It could be Drow though, who really knows? But let's just watch. You definitely want to be gank heavy this game. That is how you will have the most success. This is 2K. Okay, so let's look at items. Courier obs, pretty standard stuff. One thing, instead of buying a branch, you should definitely buy a smoke in this game. Just buying a smoke will basically guarantee you a kill on their mid, as long as your mid is controlling the wave well. Since you have like another support with you who does a lot of damage, it's helpful for you to have that. I'm assuming, okay, Skywrath has null talisman actually, so it looks like he's going to be going mid. Okay, so that kind of changes things a bit. So if you have a Lone Druid jungle, this is really hard. Okay, this right here is why you lost in that case. Like, you can still win with this, but their team comes online at like levels 6 to 9, like I'd say, for Drow and Sniper. That's when they can start pushing towers, and you guys have no initiation. So the only way you win this game is by ganking, and it's actually pretty easy if you do that. But I'd say this is more like a compositional issue than anything. Lone Druid jungle is going to take like 20 minutes to come online. So that's just like not, you don't have that kind of time. And also like when Lone Druid comes online, quote unquote, he's going to have a Radiance and that's it. And that's not nearly enough to deal with the Clinks and the Drow and the Sniper. Your Bear's just going to get demolished. Especially since all of these guys are bloodlusted and they have CC and stuff, like that's just going to be awful. So this to me looks like a compositional thing more than anything, but we'll watch the game and see how we could have played better. Okay. So it's Clinks and Pit Lord bottom. You guys can't really do too much in this lane. It's good that you're harassing a little bit. But honestly, I think you're better off just like kind of ignoring this lane or not ignoring this lane completely, but just like focusing on pulling. You can't feasibly out harass either of these heroes, especially not when they're together. Like with Pit Lord Aura and Clink's damage, it's really difficult. So your best approach to this lane would be to, one, Morphling needs to buy more regen. That's 100% true. And two, you guys should just pull as much as you can and try to connect. Or you can stack and pull, and that's fine too. That's like how you'll win this lane, is by winning the XP game. You definitely, like, you're not going to be able to harass these guys. So, like, you just don't do enough damage with the Pit Lord Aura. You just feasibly can't harass them. Like, I don't know what this guy is doing right here. So, like, whenever you walk up like this, when Clinks doesn't have anything to last it, like right here, he's just like standing here. And you're just hitting Pit Lord. Like, what is this guy doing? This guy should be hitting you right now. You shouldn't be able to do this without getting hit by Clinks, basically. So it's not bad that you're doing it, but it shouldn't happen, basically. You would definitely be better off just focusing on pulling in this lane and trying to gain advantages through XP and golds, rather than like trying to like outlane them. I hope that makes sense. I don't know if I explained that properly, but yeah. Basically, when you pull, like, you deny your creeps to the neutrals, and they don't get XP, and that's good. Okay, yeah, you definitely don't want to be laning. So if you're going to be, like, as a support, if you're going to be standing in lane, you need to have a very important function. You need to, like, be contributing so much to the lane through pressure or harass or something like that in order to justify you standing in lane like this. And in this case, you don't really have something like that. All you're doing right now is like you're hitting Pit Lord every now and then, and that's doing a little bit of damage, but it's more than enough. Like, or he has more than enough regen and damage mitigation to basically like just for that to not be an issue for him, if that makes sense. So basically what you're doing right now is you're just taking Morphling's XP. Maybe like psychologically you're here so that these guys won't go on them, or won't go on your Morphling, but he doesn't need help really. He can lane against these heroes just fine as long as the wave is back here at his tower. So it's actually pretty important that you just leave the lane if you're not going to pull. Unless you like plan on killing this guy or something like that, it doesn't make sense for you to even be here. And you can't feasibly kill them realistically, so yeah. That's just like a general rule as a support. You should either be like in lane harassing, like actively, and doing a ton of damage, or you should be killing your lane opponent, or you should be pulling or doing something else or roaming or whatever. You should never just be like laning with your carry and just like sitting next to them and attacking stuff. Like that's never something that happens as a support. The only exception to that is like when you're playing something like Dazzle, who is like a very defensive hero, and your function in the game is to like specifically heal and like save your carry from harass and those sorts of things. But that's like very specific to Dazzle. Okay. Okay. So yeah, definitely like let's look at the other lanes, because like even with the smoke you might be able to just gank the other lane solo. It's a sniper mid, so he's like automatically very vulnerable, especially since you have a Skywrath. Like I don't even need to look at the other lanes really. I think like top is gankable, but it's not great. All you need to do in this game is just let Morphling do his thing bottom. Like he doesn't need to get like full farm, he just needs to last it a little bit. And you need to smoke and go mid and run around this way and wrap on this guy. And anytime he walks down into the river, you just go on him. And then Skywrath goes on him, and it's a free kill every time. Like this guy should not be laning here. This is how you approach this game. So like even though you don't have a support in this game, like another support to help you out, it'd be so easy for you to win this game for your team by just like killing the sniper over and over again. Like all you need to do is buy a smoke at level 1, pop it, and then that killing him will get you boots, and from there on you don't really need anything, especially since it'll start like getting towards nighttime around that time. So yeah, that's how I'd approach this anyway. Okay, so skill build. From now on, your skill build on Lion is always going to be at level 1. You get stun or hex. You would get stun in situations where you're like just laning with your opponent, like you're not like going for any special kills. You get hex if you're catching somebody out, like let's say at the rune or something like that. The reason being is it's instant cast, it's longer range and longer duration, but it doesn't do any damage. So like you use hex to catch things for your teammates. So that's what you do at level 1. Then level 2, you get whichever spell you didn't get at level 1. So either stun or hex. Then level 3, you get stun always. So the reason being is Mana Drain is not a spell that helps you kill things, and Lion wants to kill things. There's no real situation where you would ever skill Mana Drain at level 3 or level 2, or like you definitely don't get 2 points. You just don't have any killing power if you go for this build. And Lion is definitely an active support, and he needs to be killing things in order to be effective. The only time I think this would be effective is if you're like 1v1 against somebody and you counterpick like Lion specifically because you know it's a good matchup or something, but I don't think that's gonna happen. But Mana Drain actually is good in a 1v1 situation sometimes. But either way, you definitely don't do this ever again. Always go for like 2 points in stun at 3 and 1 point in hex. You can get your first points in Mana Drain at like I'd say 8 and 9. I think is the best time. Then you can get 2 points then. But after that, you want to max hex. Okay. So you know my opinion on this so far. It's pretty much just you want to focus on roaming in this game because you can't do anything bottom feasibly. So like, you just committed 100 mana to do like 75 damage to this guy. Less than 75 damage. It's like 50, 60 damage. And that's just like not feasible. You're not doing anything here basically. All you're doing is making it so that Morphling is getting like maybe a little bit more CS, not really though, and he's getting half XP. It's not great. I don't know how else to explain that. Okay, so you definitely want to leave this lane at this point and just go gank mid. You should be living in mid, basically, in this game. Okay, so you just did something that's called a single pull, and this can be used to push towers really well. But basically, like the result of a single pull is that, or like what happens with a single pull is you pull the creeps to the neutral camp. Your creeps are stronger than just one spawn of the small camp. So basically, like your creeps will kill the small camp, and then they'll just go run back into the lane again. So you deny like one creep of XP. But now what's going to happen is these creeps are going to run into lane, and hey, there's a new wave here. So what does that mean? It means, okay, this creep wave that's incoming here is going to have to fight 2 more creeps than it normally would. So that means that your lane is going to push to their tower. So this is useful in situations where you actually want to push, but it's extremely bad to do in any other situation. It's really important that you don't do this. It's really important that like if you go for a small camp pull, that you stack it first, or you plan on connecting it. So you cut this tree here, and then when these creeps are about like similar to, or not similar to, when they're about to die, basically, you try to connect. I can explain better, or I can explain that better at another point if you want, but there are so many guides on how to like connect this pull camp that, yeah, there are resources to that, so I'm not going to waste your time. But yeah, learning how to connect is important, and learning why it's important is also good. But I just talked about that, so. Okay. So that's that. Now it looks like you're waiting for a kill or something. Okay. So you were waiting up in the trees. I don't know what for. I know they were just in your jungle. Okay. Well, I mean, that's a good TP reaction. You could have tried a Hex before you TP. That would have made you a little bit safer, but that was totally fine. I don't think they had any way to cancel your TP, so. Okay. Definitely should buy a smoke right now. It's good that you have boots, but yeah. Okay, you buy Ring of Protection. That's fine too, whatever. Still should buy smoke, but it's fine. Also, you want to carry detection in this game because they have a Clinks. He's actually, like, Lion is one of the few heroes that can kill Clinkses and, like, catch him out. Just because he has so much burst. Like, Clinks, his big thing is he has an extremely high amount of HP for a limited time, but if you catch him when he doesn't have death backed up, it's really easy for you to just kill him. Finger is such a powerful spell in that regard. Okay. So you end up running back to lane. It's also important, like, you have to realize that whenever you show in lane, like whenever you walk next to the creeps right here, that these creeps give the enemy team vision. So like, let's look at their vision here. Okay, so this is what the enemy team sees right now. Okay, they see a lion walking back and forth. So even just looking at this mid, like, okay, I'm sniper, I see lion bottom. I can also see that, hey, lion doesn't even have a TP. So I know with 100% certainty that lion cannot be here right now, and I have absolutely nothing to be worried about. Now, it's totally different. Like, okay, let's say you didn't just show bottom. Now Sniper would be like, okay, I don't know where Lion is. I need to worry about him TPing on me, or like walking around here and stunning me and setting up a kill, or setting up a gank on me. Like, that's when you show up on the map as a support, you eliminate like all doubt from the opponent, as from like where you are as a ganking hero. Like I wish I could speak English. Okay, so basically, like whenever you show up on the map, you are like giving the opponent information, and it can't be like misconstrued in any way, really. Like there's no way for them to think differently about this. It's like, okay, if Lion is bottom, he can't be mid. That's as simple as it is, and that means like, okay, I can push this safely. Obviously, if like you show bottom and you have a TP, it's like, okay, well, Lion could TP on me, but that's the only way he's getting here within a reasonable amount of time. So even that is like, that's not information that you want to give the enemy team. What you were doing here, basically, like, just think about it. Like, what is your goal right now? You don't really have one. Well, maybe you do, but I can't see it. I can't see anything that would be like that would justify you being down here. At least not if you're going to be down here. At least be in the fog so they can't see you. Is what I'm trying to say. That applies to laning too. So like if you're not going to be harassing the opponent actively, if you're not going to be going for kills, if you're not pulling, then you shouldn't even be here, or you should at least be hidden. Okay. So that's all fine.
Radiant structures are fortified. Radiant's top tower is under attack.
You end up running towards mid. Okay. Yeah. So I mean, this is just a result of like Clink's being higher level. Um, he's got items. He's been farming the whole time. Um, not much to say about this really, other than like since you shouldn't be down here in the first place, or you shouldn't be down here in the first place. Basically, that's the idea. It doesn't really make sense for you to be here. You have nothing to do here, so you should leave. It's like I don't know how else to word it. I'm actually gonna speed up a little bit because that's like my opinion on this game so far. You definitely should just be focusing on getting level 2 in the lane and then ganking the sniper. That's the idea. Okay, that was nice. Oh no, Clanks ended up getting that. Okay. Okay. Okay, we are halfway to 6 at least. That's like one of the bright sides about staying in lane. It's like not good, but at the very least you do get some levels, even though it's really slow, and it is at the expense of your carries levels, which is like not something you want to trade for usually. But that is like one of the bright sides to being in lane. Okay. So what was this? Scarif just killed this, or killed somebody, or he died or something like here. Where was this? Oh yeah, okay, Scarif just ran here. Oh, yeah, okay. In this case, like, you knew that Ogre and Drow were here. It doesn't really make sense for you to run this way toward River, in this case. Like, because you knew that stuff was just happening over there. Since they're not showing up mid, and also, like, they ended up running this way on the map. So, like, they kind of gave you information. Since they're not showing mid right now, like, you kind of have to entertain the idea of, like, hey, as soon as they go into fog, I need to realize, like, hey, it's going to take them, like, 15 seconds to get down here, so I can't be here in 15 seconds. It's, like, you have to kind of calculate that in your head. You obviously don't have to do the math and, like, take their movement speed and, fucking, or divide the distance by their movement speed or whatever. Like, you don't have to do that stuff, but just, like, try to get a feel for, like, how long you have before they get here, so that you don't, so basically that you don't get caught like this. That's the idea. And also, I think if Clinks is not here, they have vision on you. Okay, yeah, they have a ward here. So, the way I knew that was basically like Drow just did something really odd. She just like gusts up the hill before you even attack or show anything. So either they have an invis hero here or they have a ward somewhere around here. So that's good information for you at least. Okay. Okay. So you warded here. This is like not a bad ward, but if you're going to do this, you might as well place it around here, and that will give you more time to react to being ganked basically. This ward is nice for like the Dire team, in my opinion. It lets them see rotations like a little bit easier, and it gives them a glimpse in here as well. But like this is a better defensive ward in my opinion because you can see down the stairs up here, which like will lead into this choke, and this covers like a lot. Like warding the choke points is more important defensively because like if you cover all of the entrances to where like you're defending, then you know whether or not somebody is there. Like maybe it's true that like yeah, you won't see if somebody is like directly here, and once they enter, you don't really know where they are, but you can kind of guess at least, and that's good enough. But with this ward, like you only see if they're in this area. So ideally, when you're playing defensively, it's usually better to ward all of the choke points. So like this is good, this place is good, the lanes are really great. If you want to, you can ward this, and that will like cover most of the choke points really. This is probably the most effective one actually. Then if you want to defend top jungle, you can ward this and here, and that's pretty much good enough. Lane wards are good if the tower is down, but yeah, that's the idea for warding defensively. Okay. So you do want to get your 6, and you're getting that right now, which is nice. They're still really squishy. They're stronger than you guys, but they're still really squishy heroes, so you can kill people with finger. Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay. Okay. So when you approach a fight as any hero, you need to kind of like think about how you're going to do so. You saw Ogre behind you there, so you have to be a little careful, but it looks like you just went in like knowing you needed to stun something, but you didn't really know what to do, so you like stun a creep or something. I'm not really sure what that was. But if you don't know exactly how you're going to save this guy, and it doesn't involve stunning enemies, then you probably shouldn't be doing this in the first place. You definitely like your camera is in like the totally different spot though. Like it's something that you need to just get in that or try. Hmm. I need to like find a way to say this nicely, but basically like try to get into the habit of looking at what you're supposed to be looking at. Like looking at the enemy heroes is the most important thing, and like seeing their HP values, seeing what's in their inventory, seeing where they're positioned. Those sorts of things will help you with what you wanted to get better at, which was positioning. You can't know how to position if you don't know what you're positioning in relation to. So basically, like the idea is, hey, you look at all of the threats and say like, hey, ogre has a stun at this range or whatever, and I have a rough idea of how long that is. He also has a slow, that's much longer range, so I got to keep that in mind. Pit Lord has a disable as well. Clinks doesn't really have any disable, so I can like get close-ish to him, but he can kill me really quickly, so I also need to keep like that in mind. The sniper is really long range, but he doesn't have any disables, so I just need to like try to stay out of his attack range if possible. Same thing with Drow. I don't want to get silenced. Basically, like think of every hero as having a bubble around them. So like, and that bubble is their effective range, whether it's like their stuns, their auto attacks, or whatever. And that's how you can like position better. Is if you think about that and try to stay out of their bubbles, unless like you intentionally want to kill them or like cast your spells on them or whatever. If you think of it in this way, I think it makes it a little bit easier. But yeah, I don't know how else I can explain that, but I hope that's like moderately helpful. But you end up dying. Definitely shouldn't have been there in the first place. Doesn't really make sense for you to be there. But it's okay. Okay, you buy Tome and Stick. That's fine. I think in this case you should have bought some Detection. You guys can still kill Clinks at any moment. Like you and Skywrath Mage are really strong, and you can kill pretty much any of these heroes together. You just need to like smoke up and gank, and like his damage amp and your Finger of Death go together really nicely. It's just like it's really easy for you guys to get kills. But you can't do that if you don't have Detection. You can't kill the Clinks, and it's harder without a smoke. So having those things is more important than having the stick or the branches or whatever. Definitely like value the stick more than the branches, but yeah. Okay. Whew. So you end up pushing this, which is fine. You guys can't really fight at this point. I guess you sort of can if you hit a nice stun or like a really insane vacuum, but finger. Okay, good. Yeah, it's always good to finger early. At least if it's a target that you know your team can kill. Okay, so let's talk about this. There's really not too much to go over here, I don't think. I don't think, like, in this situation, you guys shouldn't go for this fight, in my opinion. If you can't, like, unless you know specifically that you can beat them, I don't think you can without, like, an insane combo from Darkseer. I guess he does have max level vacuum, so it's feasible. Like, you actually could do it. But yeah, either way, I think you guys should have just pushed mid here. I think that makes more sense. Like, it's much more reliable. But either way, if you're gonna fight, you definitely want to come here earlier, rather than, like, wait so long. And also, Darkseer doesn't have mana, so he can't actually fight here. But anyway, let's talk about what you could have done. You hex the ogre right away, which is fine. He's going to cast his spells on you, which would be a problem. You finger a sniper like relatively early, which is good. It's pretty much like at the exact time that you should have, so that was totally fine. Then there's not much to talk about here. It's just like you're running away. You mana drain. You could stick and stun somebody right now, but yeah, I guess actually that's a fairly big mistake. Is here you can mana drain and then stick, and you'll have enough mana for stun on Drow, and you can realize that and like say, hey, Skywrath, we can blow this Drow up right now. She's overextended. So that's something you could have done right there. She wouldn't have been able to force herself out of the Skywrath ult. I don't know if you guys would actually kill her. I don't believe you would have. But yeah, that's something that I see. That's like decent. But anyway. Okay. So I'm actually going to jump to a different replay here. Moral of the story in this game is just like, you need to identify whether or not you're actually useful in the lane, and if you're not, then go try to gank somewhere. If you can't gank anywhere, then like just do your best to get your levels somewhere. Like maybe you see if you can, hey, maybe I'll be useful laning top, or like I can pull, or I can stack, or I can get runes, or I can like put wards down, or something like that. It's really important that you don't just stay in a lane that you're useless in. If you have no options at all, then usually pulling is like an okay option, and just getting some levels, because then at least you're getting XP in like a way that's not leeching from your carry. That was like the most important thing. But whenever you play Lion or any other ganking hero, you definitely want to identify like lanes that are vulnerable. Like, okay, if I have a Skywrath on my team and he's laning against a sniper, I can just smoke behind the sniper and we can kill the sniper in like 9 out of 10 situations without an enemy team or enemy teammate TPing. Um, that's one of the most important skills as a support to have, or any kind of ganking hero really. But yeah, let's jump to a different replay. I'll do like 10 minutes of this. That should be enough. Okay, so that was a lion game. Can look at what heroes did you want to talk about? I know you wanted to talk about ogre, Phoenix Shadow Shaman. Okay, we could do a Phoenix game. Why not? This looks interesting. Okay, you build Midas Pipe Shivas. Okay, sure. Actually, I think I'm gonna stick with support just so like we can keep the lessons consistent. I think that makes more sense. Ogre is a bit different from Lion, but some of the same ideas apply. He's much more of a lane dominator than he is a ganker, but he's still pretty good at laning. Or he's still pretty good at ganking. So let's look at this one. Okay, so this game you built Force Staff, Pipe, Windlace, Arcanes. Looks good to me. I like that you don't go Aghanims right away. Why you went Force Staff? I guess it's good against Earthshaker. It's good against Spectre too. So okay, it's fine. If going Force Staff is fine. The Pipe, I guess it's good against Necro. It's good against Potom. Yeah, Pipe is fine as well. Your items are okay. I don't have too many issues with them. You guys don't have a mech, so maybe going Guardian Greaves would be a little bit better, or just Arcanes and mech. But Pipe is totally fine as well. I don't have any issues really with that. Okay.
Prepare for battle.
It's in the bag.
So items. You start off with Windlace, totally fine. You get plenty of regen. That's all you need really.
30 seconds to battle.
Let's see what you skill. Okay, good. You get Ignite. If you had done it a little bit earlier, I think that might have been a kill. Ideally, you are ready for this. Like, if anybody ever walks up the hill on you as Ogre, if it's like just one person, you always ignite them right away and just like go on them. There are very few heroes in the game that can outtrade an Ogre at level 1. So it's really important that you skill right here as soon as you can. Ideally, Centaur doesn't have return at level 1 either. Like, he should just save his skill point. This would have been a kill guaranteed if you guys had both gone there, but that's whatever. It's fine. Okay, so Necro's really low. Good switch onto Necro. That's good. You don't have to be scared. Like that's a Spectre. That is like the least intimidating hero of all time. Oh god, okay. Okay. So this is really sloppy. Well alright, there's some stuff we need to talk about here. That's okay. So in this case, like Spectre is isolating himself. Like yes, Nectar is a ranged hero, but he can't be chasing and doing damage at the same time nearly as effectively. So once Spectre gets up the hill, you basically should just wait for him right up here. And know that like, hey, if this guy's gonna chase me, like we can just turn on him when he gets up the hill, and we basically get 2 free attacks. So like right here, you have Ignite up, you just turn right here, cast Ignite, and start hitting him. This is a Spectre. His base stats are shit. Like she's one of the weakest heroes in the game. At level 1 anyway. Like, even her nuke is, like, really low damage. It only does 50, and that's, like, before magic resist. So, like, she doesn't have any effective damage, really. And Necro's almost out of mana as well. He's also really low. It's basically, like, just turning faster on Spectre would make more sense here. Then you decide to kite a little bit, which I think is totally fine, because, like, you know, they're doing a lot of damage to you. You do need to kite. I think that's good. You should kite up the hill instead. Like, when you kite down here, this is just, like, the total opposite way you want to go. Kiting up the hill, yes, they're going to see you no matter what, and Spectre's going to be able to chase you no matter what because of Spectral Dagger, but Necro is still going to have to run through this choke if he wants to chase you. In this case, like, when you run down this way, not only are you, like, kind of running through them, so, like, they were both right here, and you were right here, so you're running through them to get them, or get to, like, where you want to go. Like, they're getting more effective hits off, but also you're running them towards, like, okay, where is safer for them. So if they commit to you, and they commit to chasing you, it makes more sense for you to run, like, towards your base, because that's, like, less safe for them the farther they go in. I hope that makes sense. But yeah, you guys end up switching onto the Necro and killing him, which is great. This is all without Centaur having a useful ability at level 1, so it would have been nice for him to like actually skill something useful, but that's fine. You definitely, if you plan on staying in lane, you want to clarity up right now for sure, and just have mana like as soon as you get into lane. That's important.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Okay.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
See, like, you not having mana here means that you can't defend your Sven at all, and you can't go for any aggressive plays really, except for just like using your club, which is not that amazing by any means. So, okay, you cleared it now, which is good. Okay, that's fine.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Okay, you go buy boots and a TP, and you go bottom right away. Okay, so one thing specifically against Darkseer, or any hero that has like an escape that isn't a direct dash or blink, like something that increases their movement speed, it makes more sense for you to lead with Ignite and then stun when he goes to Surge. Basically, like, Surge has a limited duration, and it removes slows. So if you lead with slow, you can force him to Surge, because like if he gets slowed, he's going to be like, hey, I need to run faster, I need to Surge. And then at that point, that's when you want to stun him, because since Surge has a limited duration of 4.5 seconds, you can like basically make it so that his Surge is useless for like 1.5 out of his 4.5 seconds. So like I don't think you kill this guy, but you have a better chance of killing him. And like you have a better chance of your teammates following up if you cast your spells in that way against the Darkseer. So lead with Ignite, get him to force him to Surge, and then stun. And that's the most effective way to do damage to Darkseer. Okay. So this is one of those lanes where you're just not needed really, so you can just go to pull. This is totally fine. Yep, good. Okay, yeah, so you connect in this game, and it looks like you did it almost perfectly. So yeah, okay, no, you have knowledge of that. That's good. I'm glad. I explained that a little bit in the last replay, but that's totally fine. Okay, definitely
Radiant's middle
skip out on getting Bloodlust early on. I think getting your Ignite leveled up is one of the most important things as Ogre. This spell just scales really well, and it does a lot of damage. And whereas, like, okay, Bloodlust is nice, and moving and attacking faster is really nice, but it's much better later when people have more damage to take advantage of the attack speed and the movement speed. It's like, maybe, I'm sure there's some formula to where, like, okay, you take your allies' physical damage output, their damage or whatever, then you multiply it by the attack speed of Bloodlust or whatever, and compare that to the damage of just using Ignite once or twice in a fight, and you can like tell which one is better. But in most cases, Ignite is like easier and it does more damage than Bloodlust early on. I'd be willing to bet that. And also like having to pre-Bloodlust all of your teammates and stuff is kind of a pain in the ass. You don't really have the mana for that. Basically, long story short, just max Ignite first, and go for like a 2-4-0-1 build. And then you can start getting a point in Bloodlust or whatever. But even then, I would skill up Fire Blast first. But it's okay to get Bloodlust at level 8. That's fine. That's how I skill Ogre anyway, and I think that's like the best way to do so. But yeah. Okay. So anyway, long story short, since you're not really that useful in this lane, if you're not going for a kill, you should definitely back off and just go pull. That's totally fine. Anti-mage can handle it. It's either that or you decide to go roam. You can't really gank mid feasibly unless she uses her her leap. So I wouldn't do that. Honestly, Spectre is like the easiest one to kill other than their supports. Like Necro and Earthshaker are both really easy to kill. So maybe focusing the Earthshaker might be good for you guys. Like he's pretty vulnerable. All you need to do is lead with Ignite and you and Sven can kill him. Like if he ever gets like really out of position or whatever, but that's fine. I think that's how I would approach this game though. Basically, like I talked about this a little bit last game, but it's super important that you know your role as a support in a game because it's like constantly changing. It's very rarely like is there a hero where like you just go to the safe lane every single game, no matter what the heroes you're playing against are, and you pull and you deny or whatever. It can be really tough to tell what your role is as a support, just because there's no script. I've explained this in other videos and stuff, but really that's the idea. It's just like trying to identify like, hey, I'm a support, so most people expect me to go bottom and like go to my safe lane or whatever, but I think I'm way more useful in mid ganking. or I think I'm way more useful just stacking for my team or something like that. It's really important that you try to find what works for you.
Radiant's bottom
I hope that
tower
makes
is
sense.
under
And also, I'm
attack.
not saying like just go do whatever you want. Usually, like okay, if you don't know what to do, then going bottom and pulling is the best option. Um, but yeah, I hope that makes sense. Okay.
Radiant's middle tower
Okay.
is
I think
under
I'm gonna wrap
attack.
things up here though. I pretty much just like summarized everything that I think was important, because this applied to the last game too, and it's also you mentioned that you wanted to talk about map movements. So rather than like go on and deal with like the intricacies of whatever is going on in this ogre game,
Radiant's bottom
I think
tower is
like
under
your
attack.
map movements are most important, um, are the most important thing to work on. Um, I guess you can like lump in laning with that too, because that's like part of moving around the map as a support. So yeah.
Allies
You also
disappear.
mentioned you wanted to talk about bad fights. I'll answer this like separately. So your question was how to deal with bad fights. My buddies have a tendency to overextend. I often get worried, try to back up, and end up diving back in to try to save a core, or I'm too far out of the fight to help when it turns in our favor. Um, so without a specific example, it's hard for me to like give you an answer on this, but the idea is like playing with certainty is pretty important in Dota. Like it's better to be really stupid and doing the wrong thing and be like certain and sure of yourself than it is to be like uncertain and doing the right thing. Basically, like if you hesitate when you make a play and it turns out to be good, it's not actually a good play. Like, how do I explain this actually? There's a really nice quote by some really smart dude, someone way smarter than me, where he says something like, mastery is not only doing something correctly, but it's also like doing it without hesitation. Um, I can't remember who said that, and that was like I totally butchered that, but the idea is there. Um, Basically, what you want to do when you play Dota is you want to just like pull the trigger on decisions and do it right away, especially when it comes to fighting and like casting spells. That will teach you like more than anything, more than like backing up at the wrong time or like just not going to a fight. Like diving in and making mistakes will teach you more than anything else possibly could. In regards to like your buddies having a tendency to overextend, I don't. There's not much you can do about that except for like I mean communicate with them, I guess. But I wouldn't worry about that so much. Definitely like instead of like trying to back up and stuff, just like try to think about like, hey, how can I contribute to this fight better? Like, how can I use my spells to their utmost effectiveness in this fight? To make it so that like, hey, this is a bad situation, but like, can I outplay my opponents and make it better? Even if it's like it relies on your opponents make a mistake or whatever. I think that's a better mentality to have than just like doing the back and forth dance. It's either that or you just decide right away like, hey, I'm not going to this fight. It's not I can't do anything there, so good luck. You know, just let your teammates die. That's also a good mentality to have. As long as it's like you've identified that like, hey, I actually can't do anything in that fight. I have no place there. Even if I go in and cast my spells, it's not going to do anything. I'm just going to die with them. That's another good thing to like acknowledge. Is sometimes there are situations like that. That's pretty frequent actually, honestly. But yeah.
Radiant's top
Okay, so I'm
tower
gonna wrap
is
this up.
under
Hope this
attack.
is moderately helpful.